is on. So I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And put my camera. And we have as guests, of course, Rosanna Berger-Aliga, candidate for state senate, who will be speaking to us momentarily. Do we have any other guests who wish to introduce themselves? If so, please raise your hand, either virtually or on camera. Okay. Not seeing any takers. Tom, if you'd be so good as to pull up the land acknowledgement. And we could go ahead and have you present it, please.
Should be showing.
Yeah, if you go ahead and read the land acknowledgement.
Oh, you want me to read it? I was like,
yes.
well, I'm it. Land acknowledgement. We pause to acknowledge that the Solano County Democratic Central Committee of the Democratic Party sits on the land of the Miwok and the Patwin people. We remember their continued connection to this region and give thanks to them for allowing us to live, work, learn, and pray in their traditional homeland. We offer our respect to their elders and the Miwok and the Patwin people of the past and present.
Great, thank you so much. It appears we do have a quorum. So I want to thank everyone for getting signed in on time. First item of business is to approve the minutes from the last meeting. So I'll entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Great. And unless anyone had any changes, we could go ahead and launch the poll for that, Tom.
I just realized I left the word as amended in there, but it is not, just for the record, it is not amended.
Okay. And
Everyone could go ahead and vote.
since I did not get the poll to show up, I'm voting aye myself. Oops,
Don, if you could also just put that in the chat.
I did.
Oh, okay, got it. I did not have the chat open. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, it's been a minute. Anyone else? Actually, the poll ended. That's all. Didn't do that.
I'm assuming, did it pass?
Yeah, yes, it did.
Okay, great. And moving on to tonight's agenda, does anyone have any additions, deletions, or corrections for the agenda? Not seeing any hands raised.
I
So
move
that-
that we approve the agenda. This is Paula.
All right, is there a second?
Also,
Corey, second.
Great. We'll go ahead and launch that.
Okay. We got 21 people voting. Anyone else needs to vote? Remember, if you are an alternate and your member is here, they are the ones voting, not you.
All right.
Did-
Everyone has voted.
Passes.
Great. All right, thank you. And with that, we move on to our guest speaker this evening. As we did last month, and we'll be doing it again next month, we are inviting the publicly declared Democratic candidates for state Senate to appear before us. Each candidate for state Senate will be allotted 5 minutes for their presentation, followed by up to 10 minutes allowed for questions and answers. This month, we're hearing from Vallejo Council Member Rosanna Verder-Aliga. And so with that, you have the floor.
Good evening, fellow Solano County Democrats. Thank you for the opportunity to meet with you this evening. I'm a Vallejo Vice Mayor, Council Member Rosanna Verder-Aliga, and I have been an elected official for 27 years. First elected to the Vallejo School Board, and I served 12 years. The Solano County School Board, where I served 6 years, and council member elected in 2013, and I've been serving as Vallejo Vice Mayor for the past 3 years on the Vallejo City Council. Community leaders and labor leaders and Democrats have endorsed all my 8 elections, and I am thankful and grateful for your support. I am a mental health professional, a licensed marriage family therapist with 3 decades of experience in the mental health field. And I currently serve as Senior Mental Health Manager for Solano County Behavioral Health and responsible for managing the Fairfield, Vallejo, Vacaville Adult Outpatient Integrated Care Clinics. That is my day job. I've also been a union member for 28 years, working for Solano County Behavioral Health, first as a member of SEIU Local 535, and currently a member of the IFPTE, International Federation of Professional Technical Engineers, Local 21. I immigrated to California in 1981 and lived in Vallejo for 42 years. I earned a doctorate in counseling psychology, a Master of Arts in Counseling, University of San Francisco, and a bachelor's degree from the University of the Philippines. I am married to U.S. Army Corps veteran and Army veteran, U.S. Marine Corps and Army veteran, Nestor Aliga, and together we have 3 adult sons who all attended Vallejo's public schools and graduated from California public universities. I am proud to have served my community for the past 3 decades. Key accomplishments as a Vallejo council member, and we all know that there's been many challenges as a council member in the past, even before I was there. However, this current year, we have a positive balance and a reserve of $24 million as of our June 2023 budget. In the years that I've been on the city council, the past 9 years, we always have passed a balanced budget and also approved development agreements during my 9 years as a council member. Most recently, we have the Mare Island Development, the Yochadehi Museum Event Center, Blue Rock Springs Golf Course, and the expansion of Costco. In addition to that, we also have housing approved that are now being built in Vallejo. Most recently, I was part of the city council that adopted policies on police reform and recently established a police commission, oversight commission, as well as we approved an economic development plan, also supported the general plan with broad community participation, also approved contractual agreements with employee groups, as well as reopened the fire station at Glencoe. For those of you that live in Vallejo, you know that the fire station in Glencoe was closed during the bankruptcy, but it has now reopened. Over 200 businesses have also opened back in Vallejo, and I am a member of the different chambers of commerce, the Vallejo Chamber of Commerce, Filipino Chamber of Commerce, as well as many nonprofit groups in Vallejo. Most recently, I advocated for acquiring funding to construct a permanent supportive housing facility in Vallejo, and that building actually is now full. It is 75 units and of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartments. So that is helping with housing our unhoused residents. Also acquired funding for the Navigation Center, which is slated to open in 2024. Most recently, I'm a member of the Regional Collaborative Board, which is the JPA CAP Solano, to address homelessness as a region. And there are representatives from the different cities in Solano County. I have a long record of making progress on difficult issues and listening to the facts and constituents and doing what is best for our community. As your next senator, my priorities will be education. I support a well-funded education system, as well as I will be focusing on mental health because, as you know, we are experiencing a mental health crisis that was exacerbated by COVID-19. I will also work on addressing affordable housing and addressing homelessness and finding solutions, short-term solutions and long-term solutions to our unhoused residents. For those of you that know me, I'm a positive person. I'm working very hard to lift others up. And those are my value. My greatest trait and value is I'm a listener. This is how I have led Vallejo and Solano County in my career in the community. And I will be the kind of senator that will always have an open door and an open mind, always listening to different points of views.
All right,
So
great.
thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Now we're moving on to questions from our members. The first question I see is, what is your plan to keep Highway 37 from becoming a toll road?
Thank you for the question. How long do I have? A minute to answer the question?
We have a total time of 10 minutes, so but I would encourage you to allow room for plenty of questions.
Okay, good, thank you. Highway 37, there was a recent meeting attended by community members all from the surrounding counties, and especially in Vallejo and Solano County officials. I was not able to attend that meeting because I had a conflicting meeting. The toll road will impact our residents in Vallejo. As you know, we have a lot of folks that commute and take the Highway 37 to work in Sonoma. And we need to work with our state government and the federal government to help subsidize that toll road because, there was a recent discussion on providing a temporary, fix, meaning temporary tolling, but that should actually be based on, a person's income. And I would like that to be prorated or a graduated, amounts in terms and be based on income of folks that live in Solano County. Well, it also includes American Canyon because American Canyon is part of District 3. So those folks are going to be impacted by the tolls that are going to be charged because we need to build it.
Okay. How do you plan to address the extreme climate changes that are occurring in Northern California and Solano County? How would you help mitigate those impacts?
Well, the impacts to the district, not just Solano County. Of course, Solano County has experienced wildfires as well. It's important that we work with, of course, our, CAL FIRE and our firefighters, and that we as a community and they as the, safety in charge of fire suppression. It should be a year-round, making sure that that we do a lot of abatement in terms of growth, weeds, vegetation in the area that is impacted mostly by wildfires. Wildfires will always be here. It is a reality in California. So we need to make sure that we are prepared But prevention and fire suppression is key so that the wildfires can be controlled at, to a certain point. So it has to be a collaborative effort, not just in Solano County, but by the surrounding counties, and that is Napa and Sonoma counties.
All right. What is your proposal for the housing shortage in California?
We have to build. Affordable housing is going to be a key. Well, it's not just in California. It impact availability of affordable housing impacts all of us. We need to build up and make sure that we work with developers, and also look at each city should look into an inclusionary ordinance, which will allocate a certain amount of housing and negotiate that with developers so that we can have folks whose housing depending on their income and get subsidy from either the state or the federal government. That is actually an ordinance that we are looking at in the city of Vallejo. It's in our agenda this coming December, hopefully by the end of the year, that we have inclusionary housing.
Okay.
And if you're talking about housing our unhoused, I already spoke earlier about the navigation center that we are funding to build in Vallejo, and as well as the permanent supportive housing to provide housing for our unhoused community.
Okay.
And also providing wraparound services for those folks that will be staying in our permanent supportive housing.
Next question. Would you be in support of Mayor McConnell and Councilwoman Ariola's vocational school in downtown Vallejo?
Yes, I'm in full support. Vocational, schools, which will also include the trades, because vocational careers can be, an option for our students in Vallejo, as well as working with the trades council, because the building trades is also a career path for many of our young students who would not want to go to college, because there are career paths in other fields of work. It could be the building trades or vocational careers.
Next question. Wildfires are an issue, but what will you do to address climate change and move us toward more clean energy?
Say again, sorry.
I said, what will you do to address climate change and move us toward more clean energy?
Okay. Most cities are now signed up with, in Vallejo, we signed up with Marin Clean Energy, and other cities also have signed up with the Valley Clean Energy. So that is something that each city should look into. And also, fossil fuels, there's an issue with transitioning out from fossil fuels, but that has to be a gradual transition, because cities like Benicia has, Valero, which provides, 22% of their revenue and their income from Valero. How do you transition and replace that economy? So there has to be a transition and combination of, looking into renewable energy, solar energy, and make sure that there are jobs that will be available for those folks that will be displaced when we completely, not be dependent on fossil fuels. So there's actually a plan by the governor to, in 2035, that we go into electric vehicles, and that's a plan moving forward. But again, it has to be a transition, because we have to look also at jobs that will be impacted by this transition. And again, retraining our workforce who are in the fossil fuel industry, retraining them so that they can have a job that have livable wages and benefits, as well as retirement, income and retirement packages and pension plans. So it is a gradual transition. And working with the renewable energy businesses and companies.
Thank you. Are there any other questions in chat? We have about 2 minutes left for the time set aside.
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Hey, Councilwoman, this is Stephen Quinlan, teacher from Vallejo. Do you hear
I
me?
don't have a question. I was looking at the, I'm looking at the chat here. May I say something?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, I will not support a school that is non-union. Okay?
This school is not, when I say vocational school, that's what the term they're using. You're thinking
Okay.
the trades. This is a
My
vocation.
thinking is the trades.
This is a quote unquote vocational school for the arts that has no
Oh, okay.
affiliation with the trades, no affiliation with CTA. Would you be in
Okay.
support of this project?
No, I will not. That's why I mentioned the trades. My understanding of it was a trade school. The vocational arts, I will not support anything that is not, I will not support a school that is not union affiliated. So I'm going to clarify that.
Okay, but when
Okay.
they say the trades, they're talking stagehands and filmmakers. They're not talking carpenters and plumbers.
Okay, so I was not aware of that. And that's why I mentioned the building trades as part of my answer. So I'm just wanted to clarify
Well,
that.
thank you for that clarification.
Okay. I'm in support.
With that, I think we're running out of time.
Okay. I'm sorry.
So,
Sorry for the question.
If you want to go ahead and drop in your information, contact information in chat, and people who have additional questions can follow up with you that way. But thank you very much for coming.
Okay. Thank you so much for the time. And I hope I clarified that response to the vocational school. I meant the trades I will support, but not a non-union school. I will not support. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right. So I can leave now, right?
Certainly, you can leave or stay as you wish.
Okay, I'll stay for a few minutes.
All right. Next up on our agenda is public comment. This is for guests to the meeting. All comments are limited to 2 minutes. The comment period as a whole cannot exceed 30 minutes. We're opening it up at 7:23. Does anyone, any of our guests wish to make a comment? If so, please raise your hand. I'm not seeing any. Susan George, I see your hand.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. I'm staying off camera because I'm feeling a little under the weather, but I wanted to thank the Legislative Committee, Bonnie Hamilton, Dr. Bonnie Hamilton, and for their support and bringing forward 3 pieces of legislation from the Jewish Public Affairs Committee. Jewish Public Affairs Committee holds annual conferences in Sacramento. They're focused on items of the Jewish community and all vulnerable communities, as well as climate throughout the state. And there are 3 pieces of legislation that I know you've all been sent and that will be go into more detail during the time that it's up for a vote. And I just want to say my wholehearted support of these 3 pieces of legislation. I think they're very much in line with our committee's priorities. One is community safety, security grants for religious synagogues, mosques, and other vulnerable religious institutions. Another is housing, allowing housing development, streamlining it on faith lands so that religious and college organizations can use their land to provide housing and streamline that process. So they are actually, many of them are ready to do this and want to be able to provide housing. It's also in line with their mission. And then finally, it's a renewable energy. Senator Becker, Department of Strategic Plan, Transportation, Department of Transportation, tax incentives for companies to build solar canopies on their parking lots. And I will just say that I've been lobbying JPAC for the past few years to include climate on their initiatives, and this is the first time that they have done that. And also
right.
that
Thank you.
they,
That's your 2 minutes.
okay, thank you.
And again, I want to remind people this is for public comment. Usually for items not on the agenda, we do have the legislation committee report coming up later on for our members and alternates to participate. So are there anything that's people, guests have that's not already on the agenda? Diana Estrin.
Hi, I'm going to piggyback off of Susan. I'm also a member of the founding member of the Jewish Democrats of Solano County, and the bills that they have an entire slate of bills that all of them make sense, but the three that we're focusing on that Susan mentioned is SB4, which is affordable housing on faith lands, and 49, which offers tax incentives for companies to build solar canopies on their parking lots, which are already covered in cement. And AB 1185 expands the California State Nonprofit Security Grant Program to include community connectors, nonprofits, and government agencies who provide security services like vulnerability assessments and trainings for a network of at-risk profits. And that was from their legislative agenda in 2023 that I think it happened a couple of months ago. But with that, I yield back my time. Can't hear you.
Don, you're on mute.
Oh, are you addressing me?
Yes, I was going to say again,
Oh,
do we
sorry.
have any other guests who have anything they wish to say at this time? Members certainly will have time to speak to the agenda as well as items not on the agenda later on. Matthew, I see your hand up, but were you planning on speaking to the Legis Committee report, in which case I'd urge you to do
I mean,
that.
it's correlated, but it's not specifically on the agenda. I just wanted to talk about our proud support of JPAC and their legislative agenda, not our own, not this central committee's but JPAC's legislative agenda, and what JPAC means to us, and the work that we've been doing and how fulfilling it is. So I want to take this opportunity just to familiarize everybody here with JPAC, and they're comprised of California's leading Jewish community organizations, and their member organizations serve hundreds of thousands of Californians of all backgrounds and represent the interests of over 1.2 million Jews in California. It's the largest single state coalition of Jewish organizations in the nation, and its legislative partners include all 18 members of the fast growing Jewish Legislative Caucus, which is the largest growing caucus in California. So there's two core pillars they fight for, which include they directly support Jewish communities and historically vulnerable communities. They also fight for issues that directly connect with Jewish values. Just to bring you guys up to speed, since 2019, JPAC has advocated for over $250 million from the state budget for a range of community projects to include enhancing community security, expanding Holocaust education, securing resources for seniors, immigrants, and people experiencing food insecurity. They've helped to pass crucial legislation to include the expansion of healthcare, anti-poverty, and hate crime initiatives. They support immigrants, children, and older adults. For our part, I just want to say for our history with them, the Jewish Democratic Club is proud to have endorsed their entire agenda for 2023. And I want to thank the Central Committee for being so cooperative in working with us and working with our partners. And I just also want to say that the vast majority of Jews in California are Democrats. And as Democrats and members of the Jewish community, it's deeply affirming to have an opportunity to stand in solidarity with our shared values. And I want to thank you guys for your consideration.
Well, thank you again. We have any guests who wish to make public comments at this time? Seeing no hands, we're closing public comment at 7:30. And moving on, returning to the regular agenda. Does anyone have any announcement they wish to make at this time? If so, please raise your hand. Bonnie, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, hi, everyone. I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. There was an article in the Wall Wall Street Journal on July 7th, entitled "Investors Bought Nearly $1 billion in Land Near a California Air Force Base. Officials want to know who exactly they are." Well, that California Air Force Base is Travis. And there is a group called the Flannery Group that has bought up a bunch of land out there adjacent to and around the Air Force Base. Our congressmen don't know who they are. The government doesn't know who they are. And I just want to bring this to folks' attention. They're buying up farmland from farmers. They're telling the farmers they can stay on the land if they until they die. But there's been a number of incidences of intimidation and bullying with the purchase of the land, and SMUD actually sold land to these folks as well. So just want to let folks know about that. I'll put the link to the article, but you know, you have to have a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, which is necessary to read it. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, that was, I believe that Karen sent that out earlier this month. Tom, I think I see your hand next.
Actually, Monica was before me and then Julia.
Okay. You were top of my list, but we'll move on to Monica.
That's because I'm the host, so.
All right.
Well, just to follow up, and then I'll get to the question that I had. The reason that SMUD had to sell the land is that the Flannery Group had bought all the land around it and said that you would have to pay us if you want to have your transmission lines taken and move the wheels of wind. Anyway, and we're very cognizant of everything that happened on that one. So to the chair, this might be at the end, but I do have a guest speaker for the August. So I didn't know if it was now or let you know later.
Do you want to go ahead and give me that name now?
Okay, it's Sebastian Conn, C-O-N-N. I can send you the information. He's the gentleman that works for MCE. We had talked last month about have him come because several of our cities had not gone through and passed MCE. He had to wait until he had permission from his legal. The ask is that he is right at the very, very top of the agenda and that we don't talk anything political because he has to stay apolitical. But the thought of having him come was to give all of us some ideas of what we can do to help move the cities that did not pass MCE right away. Though we know we have the county, Fairfield, Vallejo and Benicia, so that we could get everybody. So I just wanted to bring that forward. Thank you.
I think the e-board will certainly consider that. I know we have a fairly hefty agenda coming up already, but we'll certainly consider getting him on. Julia, your announcement?
I just want to let everybody know that we have the chili cook-off on August 5th. It is from 11 to 1 at Arlington Park in Vacaville. Please come. Tickets are only $20. If you would like to be a sponsor, please also do that. I put the link in the chat.
And the we in question would be the Northern Solano Democratic Club?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Tom?
Good evening. Just wanting to let folks know, I'm not sure if it's happening elsewhere, but I know here in Vallejo it is. Next Tuesday is the National Night Out. It is a good time to go out and network with your neighbors and also make sure they're aware of things going on in their area, and also to talk about democratic values as well as get mentions out about the Democratic Party. So if you are in a neighborhood that's having a National Night Out, go ahead out there and meet your neighbors and also, you know, press some flesh for the Democratic Party.
All right, thank you. Kevin McNamara, your hands up for an announcement. You're on mute.
There we go. The Revista Democratic Club still has some wine tour raffle tickets. The tickets are $50 each. There are only 100 of them available. So you have a pretty good chance of winning if you buy one. And the money goes directly into our coffers for our projects. Also, just to respond about the Flannery Group, they have bought so much land around Rio Vista that Rio Vista is just about completely encircled by them. And we have very little room for growth. So it will make it difficult for Rio Vista to continue to grow and build new housing outside of the core area.
All right. Do we,
That's
any
those
other?
two.
Okay. Any other announcements that anyone has? Okay, seeing none. Next item on the agenda is our treasurer's report.
Hello, everyone. Just to give you an update for the July Treasurer's Report, our federal account has a beginning balance of $2,069.07 with credits of $1,732.87. And those credits come from an allocation transfer that we did from our state account into federal account. The debits are River City Business Services at $1,354.81. We have our storage unit, which is a monthly fee of $107.99. And then Nation Builder Information Technical Services at $336, with leaving us an ending balance of $2,003.14. In our state account, we have a beginning balance of $8,412.65 with credits of $25. We had an ActBlue contribution, which gives us a total of, let's see, we have $8,437.65. Our debits being, again, allocation transfer that we transferred to our federal account of $1,732.87. And then, of course, we had bank and merchant fees of 99 cents, leaving the ending balance of $6,703.79. With the two accounts together, both accounts totaling $8,706.93. And that ends our treasurer's report for July.
All right. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for our treasurer? All right, seeing none, moving on to the rest of the officers' reports. We've, as you'll see from most of the club reports, we've had a very busy month of activities. Salute all the clubs who've had the opportunity to be active this month. I had the opportunity to attend the Farm Bureau's summer fundraiser, along with several of our fellow Democrats. We were well represented and had some very good food, I will say. I also want to bring to your attention something that I know has been circulating the last week or so. About 2 weeks, I received an email from a group calling itself the Solano Committee on Safety, inviting me to a presentation they were having. I think they were doing blind emails to every group they could think of. Short version, the speaker is someone who is a election denier, and the group is affiliated with some organization that has been identified by some as hate groups and anti-government groups. And we've certainly had a lot of back and forth about the group and its membership. So I know that there are those who are wanting to look more into this so-called Committee on Safety, and we may be hearing more about that group in future months. I do not know whether they are the same old anti-government folks wearing a new label, or if this is a new, more dangerous iteration showing up in Solano County, but we will do our best to learn more about it, let you know what's going on, but certainly we need to be on our toes. Northern Vice Chair, do you have anything to report this month?
Thank you, Don. Good evening, everyone. There will be a fundraiser and an awards combined meeting that will be scheduled, and an invitation will be sent out. We're looking at having it in the first Saturday in December, but we will have the awards committee to make the selection process, because that's a whole separate process for that. And I know Jeanette is very well versed on that. And then the fundraiser part would do like the venue and the fundraising part. Also, our chairperson, Don, has asked us to research the feasibility of a crab feed. So we're investigating prices for the crab and venues. So that's all I have to report this evening, and I will be sending out a Zoom invitation for those who want to participate in either the awards or fundraising committee. Thank you.
I know Tiffany was on earlier. but
I'm
I
here.
think-
I'm
Oh,
I'm-
okay.
yeah,
There you
sorry.
are.
Yeah.
Do you have a report for us this month?
Yes, I'm in a car, so please forgive me if my phone goes in and out. I just wanted to bring to the Central Committee's attention, there is a regional push right now for a working waterfront coalition, working with Bay Ferries, WIDA, as well as a couple of other local agencies within the Bay Area in regards to job training, vocational training for people, and would love to, and I'll talk about this a little more at the executive board, to have them kind of give a presentation to our committee. I think we're in a good place and time as far as regionally to have this conversation, especially with climate issues, with the concerns that we all have around the wildfires that happen around the state, and how we actually move goods and people in times of emergency. And so I wanted to kind of bring you guys all into that conversation with this organization of individuals. And so again, I'll talk to the e-board a little more specifically about that, and then hopefully we can get these people in to give you guys a presentation or an update on where we are at with that. So that is my report for you all.
Thank you. Secretary, do you have anything to report this month?
Yeah, I've got some stuff on the McCown campaign, which you want me to cover it now, or is some of it done?
Let's go ahead and cover that later. We're under the special election update.
Sounds good.
Okay. Information resource officer, anything for you to report this month?
Real quick, so our Google bills have been coming in and they've been paid on my credit card. We approved paying this back at the beginning of the year, I think, when we renewed. So I've already sent those over to the treasurer for the last 6 months. But also for our 2024 election cycle, I've already started building universes in our PDI instance so that we could be prepared for handling requests from candidates that we endorse and supporting them. I will be calling together the technology committee to also work on how we can boost our outreach for online as well as email. So for those of you on that committee, look for that email coming up. It will be happening in the second week of August. You are on mute.
I saw that. Parliamentarian, do you have anything to report this month?
Nope.
Okay. Moving on to our clubs, I'm sorry, our elected officials. I believe we received Mike Thompson's report earlier this month. Was there anything to add to that report?
No, I have nothing else to add to that report.
Okay, let's see, is Senator Dawes representative, you here? I don't see you on the list. Okay, do we have anything specifically from Assemblymember Wilson's office to report? If not, moving on to Supervisor Brown, do you have anything to report?
Nope, life is good.
Okay, and we received the report from Supervisor Williams earlier today. So now we move on to our clubs. Is there anyone here to speak for the Community Democratic Club? If so, don't see any hands. Jewish Democratic Club, do you have a report?
Yes, we do. Thank you for your patience. Our updates are as follows. The last time that we met, we actually spoke with the director of I had spoken with the director of JPAC, David Wilcarsley, and we had talked about our trip to Sacramento, our successful lobbying day that we had over there, and how it brought our community together. And not surprisingly, we agreed to bring forth legislation from their agenda to the Central Committee, and we'll be discussing that later. In addition, we also worked on our new membership drive, and we have nothing much else to report. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Progressive Democrats, I understand you had a good event. Did you do you want to report on that and anything else that you've been doing the last month?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. We had a garden party for our last meeting, and we had a bunch of folks show up. Supervisor Brown was there, Mayor Young, former Mayor Patterson, school board members, and as well as 3 candidates running for the state Senate seat. Our next meeting will be August 12th at 7 p.m. via Zoom, and it's going to feature Jonathan Cook from the Solano Pride Center and Supervisor Monica Brown. They're going to talk about county commissions and how you can get involved. And then our Venetian Jack Kolk will tell everybody how and why you should join our Google group. So we're trying to better communicate internally and externally. That's what I've got. Thanks.
Thank you. Do we have a representative from the East Sankofa Democratic Club tonight for a report? Not seeing any hands. Solano Democratic Workers Alliance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a couple quick things. Glenn wasn't able to make it, so the big focus recently has been getting delegates ready for committee and resolution work. Next meeting is scheduled for August 24th at 6 p.m., probably in person. We also worked past resolutions at the CDP convention on reparations for Black Californians and other labor-related issues. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Stonewall Democratic Club, do you have anything to report?
Yes, our meeting is going to be August 3rd. We are hosting Christopher Cabalon from Sacramento, who is also running for state senate. He is the open LGBTQ candidate, and we are going to speak to him first and then move on from there to all the other senate candidates.
Cabalden.
Thank you. I knew I was going to mess that up.
All right, awesome. And we received, of course, the reports already from the Northern Solano Club, the Revista Club, and the United Dems. Those were all emailed out. So does anyone have any questions for any of those clubs before we move on? All right. Moving on to our committees, then the fundraising committee. We have the awards dinner scheduled later on in the agenda. Do you have anything to report at this time other than the looking for the crab feed?
No.
Okay, then we'll focus on the awards dinner in just a few minutes. So next up is the legislation committee, and Bonnie, you're up.
Hi, thanks for your patience in me unmuting. Okay, so I sent the report out. You heard we have 3 issues that need to be addressed. One is that we have 5 pieces of legislation that the committee has agreed to voted to recommend support for. And let's see. I can either go over those, or I can share screen, or I can leave it to folks to look themselves. But so as you heard, go ahead. Say it again. Okay, I guess somebody was unmuted. So you heard from the Jewish Democratic Club of Solano County that we had the executive director from the Jewish Public Affairs Committee, JPAC, and they shared their legislative priorities with us. And we voted in favor to recommend support and letters be sent for 3 bills. AB 1185, a California State Nonprofit Security Grant Program, SB 4, Planning and Zoning, Housing Development, Higher Education Institutions and Religious Institutions, and pardon my little dog, of course he has to bark right now, and SB 49, Renewable Energy Department of Transportation Strategic Plan. I can go, again, all of you received the report. Here we go. Oh, Tom is going to project it for me. Thank you, Tom. And there you go. These 3 bills right here. I mean, I can speak to these, or what would you all like me to do? You heard from the members of the Jewish Democratic Club that what the 3 bills were about. I believe it. The California State Nonprofit Security Grant Program is a grant program that is given to groups and community groups that offer support to vulnerable communities and in vulnerable situations. The SB 4 is to allow housing to be developed on certain lands, institutions and religious institutions, and to provide housing in relationship to those. And then you heard SB 49, which is to allow solar canopies on areas that will not affect, I would say, green land. It's basically cemented land, basically, as parking structure, shade structures, as well as under bridges in highways. So it would be land that's not presently used for green land. So I'm going to just put those are the 3 bills. Is there any discussion about those bills? And if not, can I ask for a motion to support us supporting these 3 bills? Motion to support.
Second.
Can we have discussion now? Because I think, don't we have a letter in opposition to SB 4? No, that's SB 5.
No. That's down the road here, down the page. Basically, that's another action.
All right, thanks. So do you want these Individually or as one group?
Just as one, I mean, this is the recommend. So actually, there's two other bills that the committee is recommending. If you want to move to those, Tom, let me just talk to those really quick, and I think we can do it all at once in one swoop, if that's okay, if there's no objection to
Matthew
that.
has his hand up. So,
Okay.
Matthew.
Thanks so much. The preference in this case, I think, would for our part would be to endorse these three bills separately, because we would like a special request to have those bills endorsed in solidarity with JPAC and the Jewish community of California.
That is correct. That is in the report, but yes, that would be part of the stipulation that we would put in our letter, that we support it in solidarity with the Jewish community.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think let's bring those three bills forward separately in one motion, and then consider the other two later on. I'm assuming that addition is acceptable to the maker and seconder of the motion.
Yes, that's acceptable.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Tom, do you have a poll, or can you prepare a poll for those three bills to support them? All right.
Okay, just to be clear, what I have is support AB 1185, the security grant program. Support SB 4, planning and zoning. Support SB 49, renewable energy, and solidarity with the Jewish community. Is that correct?
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay.
It was in solidarity with JPAC and the Jewish community specifically.
That's correct.
Tom, I can put that language in the chat if that would be helpful.
Nope, I've already got it. We're good.
Okay.
There you go. Vote early, vote often.
Tom, can you copy paste the language at the end of the chat so I can drop it correctly in the minutes? There's a lot there and I want to get it right.
Sure. Once the poll is done. All right, we are at a minute. If you have not voted, please vote now.
All right, I think we're good.
Okay, motion passes.
All right.
So next we have two bills that were brought to the committee by one of our committee members, Kathy Carriage. Those two bills are AB 1167, oil and gas acquisition bonding requirements. And this requires buyers of oil wells to post a bond for the full cost of plugging and abandoning them after they are no longer producing. and it helps ensure taxpayers are not stuck with the bill for cleaning up oil wells that are sold or less financially to less financially stable buyers. That's one. The second one is SB 233, electric vehicles and electric vehicle supply equipment by directional capability, and it requires a new zero emission vehicles and EV supply equipment sold in California to have bi-directional capacity by 2027, allowing EV batteries to act as energy storage capable of providing stored electricity to the grid if necessary. I don't know if there is any discussion, but if there's not, I would ask for a motion to support. The committee voted to recommend support of these two bills.
Is there a motion in support of these two bills? Pat,
I motion support of both of these bills. I especially think the electric vehicle vehicle supply equipment bi-directional capability is so important because of all the rolling blackouts we might have in the future. This might allow you to power your house from your car. So I think it's just both bills are really important for passage. Thank you.
thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion to support AB 1167 and SB 233 has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll ask Tom to prepare a poll. And please vote. Haven't voted, please vote.
We had 24 last time. We only have 23 this time. And now at a minute. So whoever you are, vote.
Well, all right, I think we've given plenty of time.
Motion passes.
Great. Another issue is Mayor Steve Young made a request after the committee met to oppose SB 532, San Francisco Bay Area toll bridges, tolls, transit operating expenses. Maybe I'll let Dawn speak a little bit to this, or Steve.
It's on the agenda as a separate item.
Oh, good. Okay, so if it's up to you, if you want to, we can certainly leave it for later, or we can deal with it now. It's up to you, Dawn.
Let's stick to what the committee is actually reporting out, because this is a committee report. So
okay. So also we discussed possible future legislation addressing the school board special elections, and last year there were two bills introduced that address this issue, SB 1061, which had to do with more election timing, and then there was SB 1170 by Senator Cortese's office that actually would increase the signature requirements to have a special election for school districts. So the two bills, since it's an interesting, I spoke to Senator Cortese's legislative director this morning. She's also his lead for K-12 education. and she kind of filled me in on some of the background that Loma Prieta down in the South Bay is a very small district. So actually both senators were approached by the same group. So both of them put together these bills. So they ended up marrying the bills at the end because when they figured out they were both writing bills to address this issue. And but the issue of raising the threshold for the amount of signatures was dropped out of the bill. So SB 1061 was signed into law, but there was no increase in threshold for needed signatures. And I have in my report that you can see what the recommendation of Senator Cortese's original bill had. And so speaking to him or speaking to his staff, there's a possibility that he might bring this back for the next year. Although, this is something that we might consider asking our own folks to carry some sort of legislation around this. As it stands now, if there's a school district of 2,000 people or less, school board district of 2,000 people or less, then it only requires about 100 signatures to have a special election that's going to cost over $100,000. And that's exactly what's going on in Vacaville right now with Dave McCallan. So his election and what happened to him. I don't know if this committee wants us to proceed with seeking similar legislation or, looking into this further. But so I was, and I also reached out to the small school board. There's a group, there are two people, but there is a small school district association. And they are the ones who actually kind of sponsored the bill that Senator Cortese had last year. So I actually emailed their executive director, Tim Taylor, this morning, but I haven't heard back. There's also, and then I believe Senator Laird's bill, the California School Boards Association was involved with that bill. So just to share that information.
So with that, I think I'd like to, unless you have anything else, Bonnie, I think this is certainly worthy of discussion by the body. Do we wish to pursue either asking for reintroduction of Senator Cortese's bill or drafting other language because we've already been affected twice in Solano County by the existing language and the potential of future forced school board elections happening as well. So I'd like to get feedback. Corey, your hand's up.
As someone who's dealing with this right now, I would very much like to urge exactly that. Perhaps a logical way forwards would be to have the committee come forward, investigate, and come back with a recommendation as to what would be the best way to proceed. And maybe we can have that ready for the board to review next month, perhaps.
I'm just going to put out there that so as I said, I've already done some investigation. The legislators probably won't consider legislation until September or thereabouts for next year, just because they're in the middle of, they're in their recess right now, and then the end of the session isn't going to be until September. So I would, and again, Senator Cortese's office, we're going to stay in touch to see if he's interested. All the legislators have a certain amount of bills that they can introduce. And I think he's already got 26 bills and they can introduce up to 40. And so he's already got 26 that he's working on. But we could certainly approach Assembly Member Wilson or Senator Dodd as well to carry this.
And I also believe that there was suggestions of reaching out to the respective chairs of the education committees and potentially, as was noted in the chat, to contact CTA, ask them to consider sponsoring the bill. And it certainly would not hurt to reach out to them. And in this instance, I do think that there would probably be also support from CSBA and that side of the house as well. And I'm all for getting as many sponsors as possible. But with that, is there direction from the body to take up for a suggestion and have the Ledge Committee prepare a more formal proposal for next month for us to vote on who to perhaps address the letter to and whether we're picking advocating for Cortese's bill or another? Monica.
Yes, and the reason and I've got to paraphrase is, remember, Bill Dodd is sponsoring that legislation to limit the amount of money that you can raise if you're a member of a school board, but not anything to do with independent expenditures, aka think of Valero, right? But I think what the legislative committee needs to do is to come up with something that's going to work. And you can always tailor it, but I agree with the fact that you need to have CTA, you need to have the School Boards Association, you need to have everybody on this because it's costing too much money. And for what? What purpose is it? So I would come up with whatever you think the languages that would make it. And by the way, the session does end and then nothing happens until December. So, and there's probably somebody who has a spot bill, and CTA would probably have more of an idea. So this cannot continue. This cannot continue. It's costing way too much money. And we're not the only one. Look at what happened in Temecula. That's all you need to know.
Throw your hands up again.
Yeah,
Or is
let's
that
take this
still-
formal. I'd like to move that we revisit this. I'd like to move that we direct the legislative committee to revisit this issue and prepare a recommendation for the August meeting for us to review and vote upon.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second, Monica seconds it, and send it a little early. So if we want to add some amendments to it, we'll have time.
Well, certainly we'll ask our Ledge Committee to do that.
I'll do my best. I can only do what I can do, but I'm happy to do what I can. Anyway,
Bonnie, if you need some help, just say, Monica, you need some help. Not a problem.
Well, I also, and I was just going to add to that, encourage everyone who has a particular interest, communicate with Bonnie, and perhaps we can set up a separate meeting solely on this, so that the Ledge Committee can use this rest of its meeting to cover all the other things that they're covering, but we can discuss that offline. So we have a motion.
thank you.
Tom, you have your hand up.
Yeah, what was the exact, what are we voting on here?
Require the, let me get the phrasing right.
Do we
Direct
actually-
the legislative subcommittee to revisit this issue and prepare a recommendation for the August meeting.
But do we actually do that with committees, or does the chair direct them?
I think, well, we can do it either way, but I think it carries more weight if the body is making the direction.
Corey, can you put your motion in the chat, please?
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Give me
that's
2
what I would
seconds, buddy.
ask.
Yeah.
Well, I have no doubt that Bonnie would take my suggestions under advisement. It would probably be nice if the entire committee was urging her to act.
Someone's talking.
Yeah, that's me. I've got 2 Zoom meetings. Sorry, hold on. There's a typo in there, Tom, but I trust you can clean it up. I just need to, I want to keep us moving for obvious reasons.
Thank you, Corey. I appreciate you drafting that language.
One thing you say revisit this issue, but for the motion, we need the exact issue. And it's not
School
that I wasn't
enrollment,
paying.
thresholds, whatever works for you, Tom. I'm not picky.
Now, what is the issue? What exactly?
Low thresholds for school board special elections.
The Cortese bill was titled School District and Community College District Election Signature Requirements. So it has to do with the signature requirements regarding school district special elections.
You good, Tom, or you want me to drop my revised copy in there?
No, here's my copy.
All right.
Okay. All right, I think we're good. Launch that poll and everyone please vote on this. And I want to thank everyone who has kept their eye on the ball regarding this issue and I continue to push for action. Yeah.
And just one last comment that the marriage equality that will put a ballot initiative to codify marriage equality passed is signed into law. So that did pass. That's ACA 5. And just wanted to share that. And the rest of the updates are in my report. Thank you very much. Thank you to the committee.
Through the chair, a correction. ACA 5 is going to be going on the ballot because we have to undo.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Yeah, I said that what it passed into law to put it on the ballot to codify the marriage equality.
Thank you for clarifying that. And has everyone voted who's had a chance to vote?
Passes unanimously.
Great. All right, thank you. Appreciate that. We'll be bringing that back next month. Outreach Committee, Julia, do you have a report for us?
Yeah, we'll keep this very quick. So we met briefly. We were talking mostly about fundraising, as fundraising and outreach do kind of go work hand in hand. So we'll be hearing more about that. We do have another meeting on August 15th at 9:30 a.m. If you'd like to join us, let me know. I was able to secure a tent used off Facebook Marketplace for $45, which is awesome. It's about less than half of what I've been able to find it elsewhere.
Excellent. All right, and moving to our business, we have the awards dinner. Who's giving that report, Vernil or Julia?
I thought I gave it when I reported earlier that I'll be calling a meeting, combined meeting for the fundraiser and the awards dinner. Our tentative venue is at the Fairfield Adult Center. But there'll be a meeting and I'll have more information hopefully next month.
I thought we were trying
Okay.
to approve the budget.
Yeah, my understanding is you were bringing forward a budget.
Oh, Julie, do you have that for the screens? I'm sorry. You did.
Tom has it to share.
Does someone want to talk it up?
Okay, no, okay. Julie, you want to put,
Do you want me to do it?
yes.
Okay, so we were looking at doing a fundraiser for the award dinner for this year. This is going to require both two aspects of it. One is the awards and one is the actual event. We were looking at the Adult Recreation Center in Fairfield. It does have a pretty low cost for the venue. As you can see, it's fairly simple, but it does have a kitchen. It's commercial grade kitchen. Capacity is 200. When you rent the space, you rent the whole entire building. And so we'd actually have a lot of options for like a room for silent auction or a dance floor or whatever we want to do. And then, so we were looking at the first weekend in December. Quite frankly, as we get towards the end of the year, it's just really difficult to find dates for the event. So we're looking at the 2nd of December. And then, so for the next slide, we have the proposed budget. Mind you, this is, we did not get quotes from actual catering, but it is in line with catering that we have gotten recently. So we should have plenty of money with $5,000 for catering. Security, $500 is plenty. The security was quoted at $500, but only came out to $300 for the barbecue. So we're kind of hoping for the same thing, but we don't want to under budget. And then the venue is $730. Comparable capacity venues are running about $1,200 or more. Drinks, we actually have a lot in our respective storage units, storage places to actually draw from. So this is including the ABC license and the Fairfield PD signing off on it. Rentals for linens and plates and silverware. And then the awards are a little bit pricey, but quite frankly, that's the whole purpose of this, is to do the awards. And so that brings out the total budget to $7,830. The revenue, we would, the formatting is all off, but that's fine. We're looking at $60 tickets with $180 for a sponsorship for 2 tickets. Half table, I mean, obviously we can get creative with naming, do a little bit better than whatever I came up with, and do a half table for $300 or a sponsorship for $600. Silent auction, if we can get a good amount of silent auction items, that would be fantastic. And then the bar would be another source of revenue. We're looking at somewhere about 100 drinks at $5 a pop, be beer, wine, and then sodas for $1. And then obviously water would be provided. There we go.
I think that's a little bit.
With a net of approximately $5,470 for the whole event. And any questions?
Corey, I see your hand up.
You're on mute.
Like to, sorry about that. Like to move adoption of the committee's budget recommendation.
Are
And
you
I'll
adopting
second.
7830? Is that the motion?
Can we round it up to 8,000? Obviously, if we do not have to spend any money, we are not going to spend money, but we'd prefer not to come back to the body for additional money. If that's okay with
I'll accept that as a friendly amendment. Thank you.
Okay. And does the seconder accept as well?
Yes.
All right, so that would be setting a budget of up to $8,000 for the awards dinner.
Okay.
Is there any discussion on this? I'm not seeing anyone's hand.
Ready to launch the poll?
If we want to go ahead and, yeah, launch the poll, please.
I will note one thing, just for the record. That is also the Mad Hatter Parade night, and I will not be at this event because I will be playing Santa in the parade.
Well, then, everyone take note. Don't give Tom any award for this year. Or we'll have to mail it to him. All right.
On
we
that,
have-
the motion passed with 1 no preference.
Okay, good. With that done, I would encourage everyone to, as soon as the committee finalizes the Act Blue and the prices, that you do your part in hawking the event and encouraging your friends and neighbors and random acquaintances to attend, because we do still have quite a ways to go to raise the resources necessary to fight the elections in 2024. I'd like to encourage you to do that. And I know that we, as was mentioned earlier, we are talking about hopefully reinstating the crab feed next year as well. As part of the awards dinner, though, we do need to establish an awards committee to review our current rules and solicit nominations for the awards. Jeanette, I see your hand is up, so before I go into the
I
rest
just
of my
wanted
spiel.
to throw it out there when we're talking about the awards. You know, it's always kind of at the last minute trying to get people to nominate things. So if this is in December, start thinking now, who are the people in the clubs or people in the community that have done a lot to advance the work of the Democratic Party, so that we can have people to elect or to receive the awards. Because then you get those people and their sort of following, get more people buying tickets to the thing. So that's my suggestion.
Okay, Corey, your hand's up.
To move that the committee approve the reestablishment of the awards committee.
Okay, well, we need to get at least, well, there is a motion. Is there a second?
I will second.
All right, now let me fill that up. We need at least 5 people to sign up, share between North and South.
Yeah.
For the awards committee. Do I have any volunteers? Margie, are you volunteering?
Yeah, I'll be on that committee.
All right. All right. Any other volunteers?
I will be supporting the committee as the information resource officer, but can help out however else too.
Okay.
And Bridget also here.
I personally think Jeanette was really wanting to volunteer as chair as well.
You're
I
on
can't be
mute.
chair, I don't think, but I can help. So
Oh, you can certainly be chair if your time permits.
That's 3 people.
Well, I have Margie, Renee, Brigitte, Jeanette, and Tom helping. We need people from the southern part of the county to volunteer.
Donna, this is Lynette. I'll volunteer.
All right. So I'd like to get at least one more from the south to join in. If we can get any volunteer, otherwise I'll just randomly volunteer somebody. Well, email me if you're interested in volunteering, and we will get that committee going. We'll take this opportunity to remind each of our clubs that you are, in addition to the Central Committee Awards, each of the clubs is entitled to recognize one of their own members as a Volunteer of the Year or Democrat of the Year, based on whatever criteria you choose. So make yourself aware of that, and start planning to make your nominations and selections for those awards.
Don, did you want to, that was a motion?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
second, you wanna
have
vote?
that vote to approve the committee.
Hey, Dawn, Jeanette has her hand up.
Jeanette?
Yes, I just want to say, based on what you said with the clubs, we have a lot more clubs than we used to have, which is very good. But that means each one of those is like a $50 or $75 award when you buy the plaque. So we really want to encourage clubs to get their members all to come to the awards dinner, as well as elect a person from the club or so forth, because it just gets pricey when you order a lot of awards.
Yeah, we would certainly encourage each club to perhaps buy a table and come and support their winners for this event. Margie, your hand's up.
Yeah, it's my understanding that the vice chair is the chair of this. I mean, didn't we discuss that and put it into bylaws? So, and Vernil is already planning a meeting, so I'd like to suggest that Vernil's the chair of the awards committee.
And the vice chairs are not actually obligated to chair the meeting, chair this committee. But if Vernil is willing to do it, she can chair it. Otherwise, we'll let, actually, I will go, if Vernil's not willing to do it, I will go ahead and name Jeanette, at least for the first meeting. She can convene it and then recruit another willing victim to be chair. So I will leave it between the two of you to work that out.
Okay.
And thank you.
Motion passes.
Excellent. Next up, have on the agenda to discuss the Vacaville School Board special election. Corey, I'm imagining you want to take the lead on that discussion.
With the chair's blessing, is that okay?
Sure.
Of
Dive in.
course. Thank you. As I'm sure everyone remembers, all of those people who we are, as Democrats, vehemently opposed have decided to go after one of our own, Dave McCallum, up in the north part of the county. For those of you who might have forgotten, he was appointed to the Vacaville School Board, saving the district, which employs me, the better part of 2 new teachers' salaries. Then some local MAGA extremists decided to go through and force a couple of unqualified candidates to run for that seat using an absurdly low signature threshold, which was talked about earlier in Bonnie's outstanding ledge report. So Instead of hiring a couple more teachers, my district now has to run an election. And as the PAC chair up in Vacaville, this is what I've been living and breathing for the last few weeks. Mailer number 1 is being prepared. Mailer number 2 is on the way. Campaign kickoff, however, is going to be this Thursday up in Vacaville. I'm going to drop some details for it in the chat, so please go through and check that out. If you're going to attend, and I would ask you to please attend, go through and RSVP here as well. That way we can ensure that we have appropriate amounts of both PDI lists, flyers, and materials ready to go. This is an opportunity to do some of that good work in the north part of the county, which we hear about happening in other parts of the country. All those folks who show up and talk about the evils of transgendered children and talk about how that's a threat, that's the folks who are pushing this. And we as Dems have this is near and dear to me, so it's difficult to not kind of get emotional, but I'm talking to a friendly audience. I trust everyone knows where I'm coming from on this. And unless there's anything else, I think I'll go ahead and stop there. Thanks, Don.
All right, thank you. Monica, your hand's up.
So I've been working with Dave. Even though I thought that the election is September 12th, I thought August 12th is when the ballots would go out. It turns out there's a possibility they're already out there now based on what the elections department told me. They're going to come out between the 25th of July through August 12th. Dave and I drove around his district. The easiest way to walk a precinct is one person drives and the other person drops lit. Signs will be coming hopefully in another week. And that is my contribution to Dave. I'm paying for the signs. Guys, we need everybody out. This is one of those times because they're using the same narrative that they did in Benicia, that he does not have kids. That's the narrative that they are using. He doesn't have kids, even though he's been on the board before, even though his kids are grown and they went through the school district. That's the narrative they're using. Many of you, I'm sure, paid attention to what happened in Temecula. So we have to put a kibosh on this immensely because this is not going to end. So anyway, even if you don't do anything but come so you can be in the photo op, so we can put it on his website, show all the support. It's very important. He's got people writing letters like Rita. He has, and I can picture her, but why can't I think of her name, doing the website. We've got things going, but nobody thinks of an election September 12th. Nobody. So we need your help. This is you're Democrats, you're here. You got to put in some time, guys. Tell yourself you're going to commit at least 5 hours between now and 2 weeks. That's what we need. And if everybody can give like $10 a week, that would be helpful. None of this is cheap, as you know. So, but put some mileage here, guys. It's very important. Thank you. Thank you, Jeannie. I could not think of Nancy's name. Thank you. I could picture her in the Zoom, but we all have to do this. This is why we are Democrats. It's
Thank you, Monica.
look, I'm sorry, I went on too long. My bad.
Jeanette.
And I will add, this is Vacaville. Last night at the city council meeting, the chamber was packed. People were crowded in the aisles, standing in the back to tell the council how much we erred by flying the pride flag and how we're all going to hell and God is not on our side. So these are the same people that are going to be out in force when they here's the message. We don't want this guy. We have to, have our message out there. So it's crazy times in Vacaville.
Right. Any other hands up? I will just echo what everyone else has said. If you have time available, please walk, please phone, please do whatever the campaign is asking for volunteers to do. If you don't have time, please write a check so that Dave can get his message out. This is important. This is part of unfortunately, a growing trend that we're fighting, and there is a possibility that we may be facing another special election in Vacaville because the school board appointed a very sane and qualified individual at their meeting, and I have no doubt that there is efforts underway to overturn that appointment as well. So we may be in this time and time again. So please do what you can to help out. Corey, as he said, drop the information in the chat. Please act on it. I appreciate that. Anything else on this election? All right. Next item I have is approval of insurance for the 23-24 year.
So moved, Monica.
Okay.
Second, Corey.
We are going to seek to buy liability insurance. It has been $650 for the last several years. I was going to ask for a higher amount just in case there was inflation of $750, but if the
Yep, 750 is fine, and I'm sure the seconder would agree. Up to.
with that, is there any discussion? If not, if I ask Tom to launch a poll as soon as it's ready.
As soon as I can find it, I made one.
And this will give us liability coverage for the coming year, including our special events. I will also note to our charter clubs, you are able to buy insurance for your own events from the state party. And as soon as they send out the insurance specifics, I will be forwarding it out to the clubs.
Don, what was the total on that?
The motion was for 750, up to 750.
Okay. We really vote on to.
All those vote who desire to vote, if you have the opportunity, please cast your vote now.
Yep. 19 people have voted out of 24.
Okay.
Come on, folks. Not exciting, but it's required.
I never saw a link to a poll.
It's running right now. Are you on a mobile device?
Yes.
Okay, click the more buttons and you should see polls.
Okay.
Did that work?
If you're unable to find the link to the poll, I would suggest you drop your vote in the chat.
Yeah. 21 have voted.
Thanks.
Okay, cool. All right, it's been 2 minutes. I think we're good.
That's, I think, sufficient time.
Yeah, so we had 21 people voting and 95% voting yay, and 1 voted Abstain.
All right. All right. Moving on, we have, as Bonnie mentioned earlier, we had a request come in after the Ledge Committee met to take a position in opposition to SB 532, which is the proposal to pay for BART by raising bridge tolls in a oversimplified nutshell. Mary Young, do you want to speak to this motion?
Sure. Thank you, Don. As you said, this is it was a gut and amend introduced by Senator Wiener at the last minute. 532 had nothing to do with transit or bridge tolls, but he was able to jam this in there. It basically would raise bridge tolls by $1.50 on all of these 7 toll bridges, except for the Golden Gate, and with the idea that this would be used to support transit, not just BART, but all of transit. Like the RM3, which passed, it is disproportionately inequitable to Solano County. We have a lot more proportionate number of commuters who cross toll bridges than any other county, and many people have to cross 2 toll bridges. That's one thing. The idea, though, that commuters are the ones who ought to pay for this is inherently inequitable, because for the reasons I said earlier, and there's a lot of lower income people who are sort of stuck because the transit options are not real good, and so they're forced to drive. And there are people in Santa Clara County and San Mateo County who never cross a toll bridge. The problem, though, is this is state legislation. And so what would stop somebody in LA from saying, sure, I'll raise somebody else's taxes. That's no problem. I'll vote for this. So that's the main request, is to go on record opposing SB 532. Both Dodd and Lori have already voted against it. So it's not really an issue where our local legislators need to be convinced, but it is something for the state legislators as a whole. And then the other thing that I wanted to add, and then this is sort of up for discussion. I think it's one thing to oppose something, but to be consistent, I think you also need to say, well, what would you do instead? And towards that end, I would propose, and I said this in a letter to the editor that got printed in the major papers in the Bay Area, is we ought to recommend a parcel tax that would cover commercial, industrial, manufacturing, everybody, with probably some kind of a that would kick in after the first, say, $500,000, that would provide some basic relief for homeowners. But everybody else who is, and in fact, everybody else is reliant on transit. Employers, all the tech companies are relying on transit to get their employees in. So there's no rationale why they shouldn't pay to support this as well. So we can either just go on record opposing the bill, or opposing the bill with a request to consider a parcel tax as a means of providing a permanent source of funding for transit. Thanks.
Corey, I see your hands up.
I'd like to move that we direct the chair to write a letter stating our opposition to SB 532 and our support for a parcel tax.
I'll second that.
Okay, Monica?
I know you're not going to add this, but I'm putting it in the letter that I'm sending, that BART, for example, needs to look at having the trains run when they should, like weekends are greater than weekdays. They're running the second year of deficit of almost $800 million. So that's just an FYI for everybody, but I too am working on this, and I don't have an issue with it. And the letter's right in front of us. So hopefully, Don, you won't have to do much work.
And I provided some additional information on the parcel tax. If you're willing to support that, then Don's also got some language he can add to this.
Okay, so the motion, and I believe it was seconded, was to both oppose SB 532 and include language supporting a parcel tax.
as a way of supporting transit, a permanent source of funding for transit.
So is there any further discussion on this? Pat?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with what Steve Young said. I think it's really important, especially for people in the South County area, because a lot of people go over to Contra Costa and Alameda County to work every day. We're much closer to those big city areas than going to, let's say, Fairfield or even Vacaville to work. So it really is a huge burden on people in Solano County. And I see that you did put some of that in the letter, which is great. So I'm just encouraging everybody to vote for both of the proposals Steve made. Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, Tom, are you able to change the poll to reflect the addition of the parcel tax?
Yeah, and it was just to put in their language. So I've got language to suggest a parcel tax as a permanent funding for transit.
Yeah.
And there was nothing about the parcel tax only being for, what was it? You said something about the.
I suggested exempting the first $500,000 of value so that homeowners are not hit as much, that all homeowners would get that break on the first 500,000, and then as the house got more valuable, people who have $1 million house would pay something. People who have a $600,000 house would pay relatively little, and then of course there wouldn't be any breaks for commercial or industrial or manufacturing.
Okay, so you and Don can work out. So just
I gave Don some language.
Okay.
Previously.
Okay. There you go.
And Don, I'm not sure addressing it to Wiener is going to be the best place to go, because he is, he's all in on this thing. Maybe the heads of the state, the Senate pro tem, or the Senate leader and the Assembly leader would probably be better people to have this addressed to, and the governor as well.
Well, I would definitely also address it to Scott Wiener. I mean, he needs to hear it.
Sure. He's not going to change his mind, but sure.
Okay, only 19 people have voted.
Monica, I see your hands up.
Well, it was just to let everybody know, the regional measure 3 is still in effect, guys.
Yeah.
Next year, it's going to go up an additional $1. This is in addition to that, in case maybe you were thinking it was a substitute. It's not.
Facts to know. Okay, it's 1:30. We're going to end the poll. Motion passes with 3 abstains.
Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate that. We will get on to that letter. That concludes our business. I see our regional director is here. Jeff, did you have anything you wish to say briefly before we adjourn? If you're still.
Sorry, yeah. No, I'm here. Here, let me turn my camera on real quick. So really what I'm the only thing that I have is, of course, we've got e-board coming up, and the preparation for that for those of you that are going, and preparations for today was the deadline for clubs to get their members matched. So that means that we're going to be finding out how many voting reps each club is going to get shortly. And but the other thing that's also coming up, of course, as we do every time, if there is anybody that you want to add to the memorial? In memorial, please give that to Don so that he can send that forward. And that's pretty much it for me for now.
All right, thank you. Corey, your hand's up.
Move for adjournment.
I will
Second.
second if no one else does.
Second.
All right. Not seeing anything else. All in favor, please vote. And with that, folks, we will see you next month. And have a good rest of your evening.
Don't forget to get out there for National Night Out and meet your neighbors and also spread the good Democratic